Hello, Josie Wales here, and welcome back to part 2 of this combat mission Red Thunder after action report for the scenario Getting Ugly. I'll just do a quick recap of the mission. I am playing as the Soviets on the second day of Operation Bagration and am attempting to take the villages of Chernevka and Ugly from a German rifle company which is reinforced with armour support. Please watch part 1 for the full MET-T analysis and plan of attack. To pick up where we left off, a German platoon of Panther tanks has attacked KT-1 and things weren't looking too good for me. We jump back into the action where the big cats continue their attack. Spooked by the speed of the attack, the newly arrived second company run to the south and out of harm's way. First company's second platoon are taking the brunt of it. It's too much for the regulars and they begin to panic. Overconfident in their success, one strays too close to a machine gun team who hold their nerve. They pelt it with hand grenades and it's enough to panic the crew inside. One of the T-34s of 2nd Platoon over on the left flank sees a shot. It hits the gun mantler, but more importantly it unnerves the crew. They reverse back to safety, or so they think. That's 3 down, 2 to go. One to go. The Panther platoon has been destroyed, but not before they could exact a heavy toll. On the left flank, 1st Platoon probed towards the southwestern end of Chernevka. And come across more pockets of German infantry acting as a screening force. Fire superiority is achieved and most of the Germans start to pull back. However, a few hardliners decide to fight it out. But outgunned, they don't hold for long. German positions are occupied and the stragglers are picked off. With the Panther threat gone, 2nd Company, still not deployed, are brought back over to the right. The mortars start pushing towards KT1. And in the centre, the tank assault troops move into the western end of Chernevka. Strategic update for 16:46 hours, 1 hour 11 minutes into battle. Looking west, 2nd Company are moving from the left flank where they were hiding from the Panthers over to the right flank. The mortars are moving up to KT1. The 3 surviving ISU 122s are 2 on the far right and 1 supporting the left flank, and the remaining T-34 is also over on the left. 1st Company are inching ever closer to the first objective, and the tank assault troops have been brought up to support them. Zooming into the front and reminding us of the key terrain locations, KT1 is the farmstead at the northeastern end of Chernevka, KT2 is the hill on the right flank, and KT3 and 4 are in the German-held village of Ugly. 1st Platoon are on the left, with 3rd Platoon centre left. To their right are the tank assault troops, and the remaining 2 AT rifle teams are shown here. 2nd Platoon have been completely mauled by the Panthers, sustaining 20 casualties and leaving only 7 active surviving troops. Showing again the key terrain locations and the position of the 5 destroyed Panthers. As well as mauling 2nd Platoon, the Panthers also destroyed 1 assault gun and 3 of the T-34s. On the left, 1st Platoon overcame the German screening force and have secured the southwestern end of Chernevka. 3rd Platoon and the tank assault troops are moving up in the centre and will fan out across the objective to eliminate any Germans that may still be around, which will bring the advance up to this point and allow more eyes into the other objective. 2nd Company will scout out and, if possible, move up in the trucks to occupy the area around KT2. Whilst on the left, 1st Company will scout out possible avenues of advance on this flank. I'm going to be very wary of this area of open ground in the centre until I can get more information on the German positions in Ugly. Scouts will be sent out to discover if the Germans are covering this area. The 2 assault guns on the right flank edge forwards. It's a Pak-43, an 88mm anti-tank gun at the north end of Ugly. The surviving ISU 122 pulls back. The mortar platoon HQ calls in a heavy strike on the Pak-43 position using the off-map mortars. As the strike ends and the smoke clears, nothing can be seen of the Pak-43 position. The result is inconclusive. In the centre, 1st Company move into the Chernevka objective, with the remaining T-34 firing into likely German positions. Surviving Panther crewmen are flushed out and dealt with. The rest of Chernevka is quiet and the objective is occupied without further contact. The mortar platoon arrives at KT-1 and sets up. This quiet period is used to take care of the 2nd platoon casualties. On the right flank, 2nd Company's jeep cautiously scouts out a safe route towards KT-2 for the rest of the company. The scout reaches the western end of KT-2 without incident, so the rest of the trucks follow on. The force truck is hit, sustaining 11 casualties. It's a Pak 38 at the southern end of Ugly. The remaining 3 trucks take a detour to find a safer route. The mortar platoon on KT-1 responds. The rest of the trucks arrive near KT-2 unharmed. 2nd Company occupy buildings just beneath the hill and spot more Panther crewmen trying to keep a low profile. They are rapidly dispatched. 2nd Company fan out beneath the hill, and from a 3-storey building start to get eyes on the northern end of Ugly and KT-4. Scouts on the right investigate a nearby barn. It's a Pak 40 on KT-4. Another job for the mortar boys. As the smoke clears, the results are again inconclusive. 2nd Company scouts find another route down to the river, avoiding the Pak 40. The rest of the company follows behind. On the left, scouts from 1st Platoon of 1st Company move down to the river and begin to cross. The scouts are followed by the rest of their squad. The ground on the west bank is very boggy, and short sprints followed by long pauses reduces the team's exposure to the enemy and also keeps them from getting fatigued. More of 1st Platoon move across the river. The scouts force the enemy to reveal themselves, then lay low, their job complete for now. In the centre, the assault troops scout out into the ground between the villages. Another dismounted panzer crew, but these ones want to fight. Strategic Update 5, 1707 hours, 1 hour and 32 minutes into battle. Looking west, we can see quite a significant advance over the last 20 or so minutes. First Company are making headway on the left flank. Second Company have advanced quickly on the right flank using the trucks. The mortar platoon have good positions on KT1. The 2 remaining assault guns are providing support on each flank. And the last of the T-34s is centre left. Zooming in on First Company on the left flank, we can see 1st Platoon on the left being the first unit to cross the river. On their right, 3rd Platoon are also starting to move across. 2nd Platoon are as good as ineffective, and I don't intend for them to do much more in this battle. The assault troops have taken over 2nd Platoon's role and are moving over the open ground down to the river, having scouted it out first and removed the tank crew stragglers. The company heavy machine gun has set up in Chernevka, overlooking Ugly. Moving over to the right, we can see how 2nd Company have deployed. 3rd Platoon are on the left of the company, with 1st Platoon on the right flank. 2nd Platoon are down to 2 squads, with one of the squads having been wiped out by the PaK-38 on KT3 while still in the truck en route. 2nd Company have their own heavy machine guns set up in the 3-storey building near KT2, and 1st Company's sniper has transferred over to this flank to get eyes into Ugly. 2nd Company's advance was very quick due to moving up in the trucks and then spreading out around KT2. The hill itself turned out to be less useful than some of the nearby buildings on its western slope, which have now been occupied. During the manoeuvre en route, a PaK-43 near KT4 took out one of the covering ISU-122s. Whilst attempting to avoid the PaK-43, the 4th truck in the convoy was hit by a round from the PaK-38 on KT3, wiping out one of the squads from 2nd Platoon. Scouts on 1st Platoon were hit by a PaK-40 also on KT4. All 3 of these gun positions have been hit by 82mm mortars, however none have been confirmed as destroyed, so I have to assume they are all still up. With this in mind, 2nd Company scouts will move across the river to try and confirm what the situation is on KT4 regarding the guns. On the left flank, 1st Platoon of 1st Company are mostly across the river, with the lead element struggling through the boggy terrain on the far bank. Incoming machine gun fire is originating from KT3, with a couple of likely forward positions identified. The heavy machine gun setup in Chernevka has line of sight to these forward positions and other locations around KT3. The T-34 and ISU-122s can also lay down additional firepower, providing I don't expose them to the known existing guns or any as yet undiscovered threats. This firepower should allow 1st Company to continue towards the southern end of Ugly and KT3. On the left, 1st Company continue to cross the river. The company HMG lays covering fire at likely enemy positions. The last T-34 tentatively moves into a firing position and adds some fire support. More of 1st Company pour across the river. The lead teams reveal more German positions. The tank relocates to get fire down on the new enemy locations. Something is working as German infantry are spotted pulling back in Ugly. Scouts from 1st and 3rd Platoon arrive at the eastern boundary of Ugly. In the centre, the assault platoon moves down to the river and starts to cross it. Once across, they manoeuvre in short sprints with long pauses over the boggy open terrain towards a farmstead, where a German OP is watching the rest of the squads cross the river. The assault troops are covered by the assault gun on the right, which makes short work of the OP. With the T-34 laying some fire down for good measure, the rest of the assault troops can continue to cross the river. As they approach the farmstead, enfilading machine gun fire erupts from the right. The only option is to hit the deck and wait for the mortars to lay down a smoke screen. On the right, a squad from 2nd Company's 3rd Platoon use the ditch to conceal their advance to a position which offers good observation across the bridge. Further right, the rest of 2nd Company's scouts approach the river and cross it north of the bridge. As one team gets to the other side, the Pak 40 on KT4 reveals that it is still up. Whilst that gun is still active, 2nd Company cannot cross the river. Another job for the mortars, who fire off their last remaining HE rounds. Frustratingly again with no effect. Strategic Update 6, 17:24 hours, 1 hour and 49 minutes into battle. 1st Company are pushing up on the left flank. The company HMG is supporting from Chernevka, and the sniper has joined 2nd Company on the right. The AT rifles have been held back in Chernevka. There doesn't appear to be any more armour on the map, so they've taken a defensive role to help hold this objective. The mortar platoon on KT1 is now out of ammunition. 2nd Company have made little progress on the right. The 2 assault guns are being kept well out of the way of any remaining AT guns, but can provide sufficient support to the left flank from their current positions. The T-34 is also keeping back and providing support from Chernevka. Zooming into 1st Company's forward positions on the left, we have 1st Platoon on the far left, 3rd Platoon to their right, and further right, the assault troops. The Pak 38 on KT3 has not been seen since the mortar bombardment, and so it's looking likely that it's out of action. The assault guns, T-34 and heavy machine gun, can put lots of fire down into the southern end of Ugly, and this has proved successful in both causing German casualties and making them run away. The German machine gun opened up on the advancing troops from near KT4. I was not able to get any heavy fire into this position, so I created a smoke screen as the next best alternative. This should allow the assault troops to take the farmstead immediately to their front. And from there they can mutually support 1st and 3rd Platoon's attacks into Ugly. On the right, 2nd Company are struggling to cross the river. 3rd Platoon are on the left, overwatching the bridge. The understrength 2nd Platoon are in reserve, and 1st Platoon have taken the right. The Pak 40 on KT4 is still operational despite several mortar strikes. The Pak 43 has not been seen for a while, so it may be knocked out. Not that that really helps me. The Pak 40 has lines of fire across the entire riverbank in the northern half of the map. The ground is flat, open and very boggy, which will fatigue troops and make them sitting ducks for the gun. The mortars are out of ammo, and manoeuvring armoured vehicles into position to engage the gun is likely to end badly. It's at this point I decide to cut my losses. 2nd Company cannot advance any further on this flank in the time remaining. They will end their movement here, and the last 11 minutes will focus on the efforts of 1st Company to get onto KT3 and occupy the southern end of the objective. As a futile gesture, 1st Company sniper will move up and get into a position to take shots at the Pak 40 crew. If he can remain unspotted and get a hit, it may be just enough to cause them to break if they have taken casualties from the earlier mortar strikes. Perhaps if he'd just closed his left eye. Over on the left, the assault troops use the smokescreen to approach the farmstead. They occupy and secure it. To their left, 1st and 3rd Platoon move up to their assault positions. The heavy weapons hit suspected occupied locations. The scouts bound forwards and slow as they approach the village. With the enemy located, the platoons launched the assault. Despite 1st and 3rd Platoon having the numbers, the German firepower is greater. The Pak 38 on this flank was destroyed by the earlier mortar strike, allowing the heavies to move into better firing positions. The big guns start to have an impact. It's a 2nd Pak 38, sneakily tucked behind some buildings. Time for the assault troops to move out of the farmstead and get into the fight. Their impact is immediate. First squad moves towards the gun. The gun is abandoned and the position taken, allowing 1st and 3rd Platoon to move into the village as the Germans move out. The objective is contested as the game comes to its conclusion. And it's a Soviet Army tactical victory. I have 306 points to the German 133 points. The Germans have taken 148 casualties with 49 men OK, and they have lost 8 tanks. I have taken 115 casualties, have 195 men OK. I've lost 4 tanks and 2 of the assault guns. The 3rd assault gun is not showing up here as destroyed, but it was immobilised and had its main armament taken out, so I've counted that as destroyed for the purposes of in-game commentary. The German army has failed in its main ground objective, which was to control Ugly, but has had some success with its targets objective. From the German perspective, the number of T-34s destroyed was acceptable. I have succeeded in the ground objective to liberate Chernevka, but failed to liberate Ugly. I've had partial success with the targets objective, having destroyed the Panther platoon and the Stug platoon. Looking at the map facing northwards, we can see how we've traversed almost the full length of the map from our start position on the right hand side. Zooming in on Ugly facing west, we can see the last German resistance. Showing the same formation we kept throughout this attack, 1st platoon are on the left, with 3rd platoon on their right, and to their right the assault troops. In the last few minutes we've only just managed to claw our fingernails into the objective, but it's enough to get the tactical victory. The German troops left here are in pretty bad shape. Here we have a rifle squad with multiple casualties and has been shaken. We have a broken vehicle crewman and a mortar team with 1 guy left standing, and he's currently pinned. Over on the right at the northern end of Ugly, the picture is slightly different. We can see the Pak 40 that was preventing me from advancing on this flank is still fully operational, although a couple of the crew have been lightly injured and they are currently rattled. We have a heavy machine gun team in one of the buildings, which is still in relatively good shape, and a Panzerschreck team which are still fully intact. The Pak 43 is revealed, and it was taken out by the earlier off-map mortar strike. There was another Pak 40 on this flank which had not been seen by anyone, but again looks like it had been taken out by one of the mortar strikes. So why didn't I achieve a total victory and wipe the Germans off this map? My own self-assessment concludes that my initial movements into Chernevka were very laborious and slow. I took very concealed approaches which were intended to minimise casualties at the expense of taking a lot of time. And I didn't fully secure Chernevka until well after the halfway point. This only allowed about 45 minutes then to attack Ugly, which, as we've seen, was only really enough to get a toehold into one end of the village. In hindsight, a more direct attack into Chernevka, which was relatively lightly defended, would have probably yielded a total victory. But as we all know, hindsight is a wonderful thing. This was a really enjoyable battle. The scenario designer has done a wonderful job here in making this a challenging scenario. The Panthers moving over the bridge halfway through the battle really did wrong foot me and catch me completely off guard. I was able to eventually contain that, but not before significant damage had been done to my forces. So, all that remains to say is, if you've liked what you've seen, please leave a like, feel free to comment, subscribe. I'm Josie Wales. War is hell. Thanks for watching.